GMs Carlsen and Nakamura have a date with Destiny in the GM Blitz Battle Championship. Find out who they beat and how they got there. Former world champion Garry Kasparov expressed kudos about this young American grandmaster. Who is he and why was Kasparov so impressed? And now with the Olympics over, everyone's out of Rio, what do sports fans have to look forward to next? Find out and looking ahead. This is ChessCenter, where Grandmaster Robert Hess replaces Danny Wrench.
Hey, Robert. What are you doing, buddy?
Nothing.
So Danny, this week I got a question for you. What do you think is more popular, Minecraft or chess?
Well, I'd like to think chess is still played around the world more than video games like Minecraft, but I get the feeling you're going to tell me.
Yeah, I will. And last Tuesday we had our first Grandmaster Blitz battle between Magnus Carlsen and Alexander Grishuk. And at some point our show was the number 4 watch show on Twitch, ahead of Minecraft and other games. We had 16,000 simultaneous viewers and more than 70,000 unique IP addresses, so went pretty well. And it went also pretty well for Magnus Carlsen. He was playing the reigning World Blitz champion, but still he managed to win this match 16-8, dominating the bullet with 8-1.
But that wasn't the only dominant performance last week.
No, absolutely. The next day, last Wednesday, we had Hikaru Nakamura against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And yes, we are going to see that kind of dream final, Carlsen Nakamura, because American Grandmaster won this one. And well, he did not dominate the bullet, actually. He won with big numbers the 3-minute portion, interestingly enough. But how it went, it doesn't matter. Nakamura and Carlsen will play that final.
Well, Robert, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave may have gone down swinging in his match against Hikaru Nakamura, but not before getting a bit of redemption, winning a very nice miniature bullet game. Tell everybody what happened here.
Well, here White's running bishop f4 to e5 with a dead lead check, so black plays d6, stopping the bishop from going to e5. Or does it? Well, now the problem is the rook is coming to f7 with checkmate, so bishop e5 check is still the move of the week. Now after pawn takes e5, rook f7 delivers a checkmate, so even though Maxime Vachier-Lagrave went down hard against Nakamura, he did get a bit of redemption.
You know, sometimes if you win the last game in an event, even when you get routed, it still feels like a victory, or maybe that's just what I tell myself at night. All that matters is that Maxime didn't give up without a fight. He gave the fans at home something to cheer for. Despite being on tilt, he wins this game in 12 moves, and as you can see here, even if Nakamura tries to block on f6, too much material would fall, including the bishop on h6, which is why Hikaru just resigned instead of even playing the line, and why Maxime took our move of the week. Well, it's hard to remember the last time Kasparov wrote 3 paragraphs of praise about anyone or anything for that matter, but he had this to say on Jeffrey Zhang's recent dominant performance at the World Junior. I'm very happy and very proud of Jeffrey for winning and for doing so in such overwhelming fashion. It's a long and rowdy event, but he showed his best qualities throughout and simply dominated. He went on to say a lot more about Jeffrey and give just about the highest compliment we've ever seen the former world champion give about an American Grandmaster. Tell everybody what you thought about Kasparov's thoughts and whether or not they were deserved.
I think the praise was definitely deserved. Jeffrey's had an amazing streak of tournaments. He won Group B in the Capablanca Memorial. He won the U.S. Junior Championship, then going on to win the World Junior Championship with 1 round left in the tournament. And as far as Kasparov, I think he deserves some of the credit also. His students have been doing amazingly well, not just Jeffrey, but also Caden and Sam. And I think that they're going to be top U.S. players and likely top global players as well.
Well, Sasha Grishuk had his chances against Magnus Carlsen in their Blitz Battles Championship semifinal, but here he blundered this game and the entire match away. Tell everybody what he did.
Well, you don't get to go 3-0 against the world champion and live to tell the tale. And here Grishuk needed to play King E3 to E2, getting out of the pin, avoiding any traps. Instead, he played King E3 to F2, thinking he's out of the pin, but no. Rook G3 takes G4, and now the F3 pawn has to take on G4, which releases this E4 square. Knight D6 to E4 with check, forking the king on F2 and picking up the rook on C5.
And once that rook falls, it's a pretty easily winning ending. You're up a whole piece. Yeah, it took a little bit of technique, but nothing beyond Magnus's skill level. We see it one more time. All the kids love instant replay. Always nice to see a good fork. And in this situation, Magnus Carlsen, he didn't need to be asked twice whether or not he was going to use it to start his comeback. He came back, tied the match, took the lead, and of course is now moving on to play Hikaru Nakamura in the Grandmaster Blitz Battles Championship Final. In an extensive report released this week, Peter, you asked a very tough question. Is FIDE going bankrupt?
Yeah, that is the question. During the Olympiad and Baku, there will be also a FIDE Congress, and one of the items on the agenda are the financial statements of FIDE. And in the year 2015, as it turns out, FIDE went down from 1.3 million to 300,000 euros for their reserve fund. So not a lot of money left for the World Chess Federation. It was a result of spending too much and getting not enough money basically. For example, Aegon, for its World Rabbit and Blitz in Berlin last year, was supposed to pay FIDE 80,000 euros. This never happened. And overspending, well, examples are the travel costs for the FIDE president, close to 190,000 euros. And there were also legal costs for FIDE, also close to 190,000. So a very tricky situation at the moment. I spoke to a chartered accountant and the FIDE treasurer himself. And I wrote this very long report. It has a lot of recommendations for FIDE, in fact. So I kind of hope that the FIDE delegates will be reading this article.
The 42nd Chess Olympiad is getting set to start at the beginning of September in Baku, Azerbaijan. Obviously, a big storyline heading in has been that Armenia and Levon Aronian will not be there, but let's focus on the positive. And Robert, since you'll be there as the U.S. women's coach, why don't you tell us how you think your ladies will fare, and let's start things off in the women's division. Give us your predictions for who you expect to win gold.
Well, our team is very strong, spearheaded by Grandmaster Irina Krush, current U.S. Women's Champion Nazi Paikidze, and multi-time U.S. Women's Champion Anna Zatansky. But there's tough competition abound. There's China, there's Russia, there's Ukraine. Unfortunately, there's no Armenia, or should I say fortunately for my team. But if you're going to have to put money on it, I'd assume the Chinese team has to be the heavy favorite.
Yeah, with Hao Yifan leading the way. But then again, you can never go wrong putting your money on Russia. Let's jump over to the men's side and list off our players there. Of course, the U.S. will be fielding 3 players inside the top 10 for the first time ever. Fabiano Caruana is the reigning U.S. champion, Hikaru Nakamura, 4-time U.S. champion, and Wesley So recently won the Singfield Cup. So how do you think the men will fare, and who do you expect to win gold there?
Well, the U.S. team is on fire lately. 3 top 10 players, a force to be reckoned with. But there's always Russia at the top. Vladimir Krumnik, Sasha Grishuk, Sergei Karyakin. They're going to be a super tough out. There's going to be China as well, a very young, dangerous team with many players over 2,700. And the host country, Azerbaijan, their average also is over 2,700.
It's always sad when Chucky won't be there to represent my second favorite team, Ukraine. But either way, we look forward to all the action. So many regulars from ChessCenter will be there. Grandmaster Robert Hess, Alexandra Botez playing for the Canadian women's team, and of course, Peter Dawkers and Mike Klein bringing you all the updates to chess.com/news from Baku. It's time for Time Trouble, time for the viewers to get a watch. Mike, are you ready?
Our own personal blitz battle.
A flag for the Chess Olympiad was hoisted atop Mount Elbrus. That's the highest peak in Europe. And it got me thinking, how many of those 7 summits have you bagged?
Amazingly 0. But Danny, do I get a half point for Jebel Toubkal, the highest mountain in North Africa? I hope so. World Girls Junior Champion. Congratulations, Dinara Sadua Kosova, but not congratulations for botching King in 1 pawn against King. Danny, what'd you think when you saw King G7 on board?
I didn't know what to think. All I could wish for was that she had a diamond membership so she could watch my King and Pawn ending videos on chess.com. The oldest man in Canada, Zoltan Sassari, is 110 years old, and he became a master in 1943. Mike, did he find the fountain of youth and we missed the memo?
I don't know if he did, but maybe the fact that he's named Zoltan is helpful. So there you go. Zoltan Ribley, you heard it here first, world senior champion in 2047. One Spanish town made a giant chess game using tractors as chess pieces. Now, if 2 rooks are charging to each other, Danny, is there any other thought in your mind than that scene from Footloose?
If it doesn't have Kevin Bacon involved, I don't want any part of it anyway. I'll tell you what I do want a big part of. That is the Chess.com Isle of Man Open. Tell everybody why it might be replacing the Qatar Masters, regardless of whether the event got canceled, because of the strong lineup.
I'll give it to you in 3 words. Nakamura, Caruana, So. That's right, it's the U.S. Championship East or the Baku U.S. Olympiad team. Many more 2700s are playing than those. It's going to be a fantastic first event for chess.com. Finally, Danny, the Baku Olympiad has many new anti-cheating measures, one of them being that you cannot bring your own personal pen into the playing hall. Have they gone too far?
I've always been a little suspicious of your pen, Mike. It's just something about the way that it twirls, and Chucky, too. Always been watching his pen. But you did a great job here, and I'm sure they'll do a great job monitoring the games at the Olympiad. See you next week. Chess Olympiad is getting set to start at the beginning of September in Baku, Azerbaijan. I don't like the way I said September. But you'd have to look far and wide to find the last time Kasparov wrote 3 paragraphs of praise about anyone or anything for that matter. But he had this to say about Jeffrey Zhang, saying, "I'm very proud and very happy." That's actually not what he said. We're restarting.
I think that all of Kasparov's students have been performing really well recently, with Jerry, of course, Caden, and Sam. And I'm excited to see Jerry's future as a top U.S. player and hopefully a top global player.
I'm excited that we have to redo it because you called him Jerry, not Jeffrey.
Oh, man.